kick started for today's event. Cool, I think we are live. So hello everyone. Yes, thanks again for joining. Please do say hello to us in the chat. We always like to hear where people are joining us from, so please do say hello. I'm going to get kick started with a couple of housekeeping notes as usual before we get into some company and product updates. So as always, as you've probably already seen, we are live streaming and we are recording today's event. So if you get disconnected at any point, you can head on over to our YouTube page. Please note a slight change in our URL. We finally claimed our Hospitable handle on YouTube, so there's a slight difference there to what we've called out in the past. As I said, we're going to head into some company and product updates in a second, and then we're going to have a Q&A section at the end. If you have a question that you'd like to ask, please do feel free to use the Q&A functionality at the bottom of your screen. Best to keep your questions in there rather than in the chat. It's easier for us to keep an eye on them and make sure that we're answering all of them. And if at the end of the session you want to come on stage to ask a question, if you go down to the react button at the bottom and click in there, you should see a raise hand button as well. That'll let us know that you want to come on stage to ask your question live. And I think that's it from me. I'm going to now hand over to Pierre, who's going to do some introductions.
Yep. A pleasure to be doing some introductions, including one that was overdue that we tried to do last week but couldn't quite do. So let me first introduce you, Alan, who's joining us from Fort Lauderdale in Florida. And yeah, Alan, why don't you introduce yourself to 200 of our closest friends?
Yes, very excited to be here. As Pierre mentioned, Alan, down here in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. It is scorching. Kind of like San Francisco right now, I guess that's all I've been hearing about. But and I'll be joining as the product marketing manager, our first one here. So super excited. I'll be working kind of cross-functionally between the support team, product team, sales, marketing, you name it, helping you guys get the most out of value out of the platform. So mainly be focusing on educating you guys about feature launches, so both in the core product and direct. So you may see me pop in and out from time to time with some news updates about the product, and maybe asking for some feedback every now and again. And in my spare time, I guess I'll say, I do like to go scuba diving. So if you have any good fun suggestions for a place to travel to go diving, I'm always open to hearing those. So yeah, I guess lastly, a little plug. Hopefully get to meet a few of you guys down in Orlando for our Host and Toast next week. So super excited for that as well. So
that would be absolutely perfect. Product marketing management is a very important role in the company. It took us almost 8 years to get there. We take our time in many ways. We don't in others, but we have plenty of product. We're not always as good at marketing it. I think that's a common feeling is basically, I didn't know you had that feature. And so that's basically what Alan is going to help us with. And there is a hell of a lot of work to be doing. So thank you, Alan, cheering you on that particular mission. We also joined, actually, since last week with Usain, who is joining us from San Diego. And it's actually our first hire out of California. It took us, again, 8 years to make it. Usain, what are you going to be doing? Where are you?
Yeah, so my name is Hussein. I'm from San Diego, California. I didn't know I was the first California hire, so that's pretty awesome. I've been in sales pretty much my whole career. I'll be joining as an account executive or sales executive, sorry. Spent my last 3 years in HR tech startups. So, STR software is a little bit new, but onboarding has been great. I had a really great first week. And yeah, I'm really excited to get to know the rest of the team and learn more about the product.
And you're not completely new to the world of short-term rentals, if I understand. You're helping your cousin to co-host.
Yeah. My cousin has an Airbnb. I've been helping him out with sort of the customer operations side of it.
Yeah, so here we're going to try and remove the OTA because you want to have short-term rental operators, not just Airbnb hosts, because we want to get away from basically being captive from a few platforms, even though obviously that's very significant and very, very important. So congrats. You have also, you are going to take your product test. So that basically validates the knowledge out of everyone in the company. So Alan took it a few weeks ago, a few days ago, a few hours ago, actually, and you're going to do it on Friday. So good luck on that. Let's make sure that everyone is super knowledgeable about the depth of the product and being able to talk it through. And last but not least, I'm going to reintroduce you actually probably for the first time on the channel, Brian. Some of you may be familiar with because he was on a demo with you some time ago. And yeah, is introducing to you the new customer success department. Again, it took us 8 years to get a customer success department, but Brian is the best in the world, in the entire universe. I've checked just a few atoms that are on the planet, but basically to make it happen. So, Brian, tell us everything about this new job for you.
Wow, I appreciate that. The expectations are high. The universe is pretty big, I've heard. So
Yeah.
so we'll see. So I've been one of the sales reps for the last 2.5 years, and I probably have talked to a lot of y'all. So I really appreciate the conversations we've had. So I'm just moving into a role to help current active hosts that are using our system instead of new hosts get into our system. So it'll be a change of pace, and hopefully we can help people, integrate some of the new systems we're working on, like owner statements, direct bookings, smart locks, anything that you guys want to add to the system. I'd be happy to help and kind of go over those features with you.
And the fantastic perk of Brian taking that position is that he's doing it himself. So you have your little property management operation. So you're totally qualified to be talking about the value of a product like Hospitable to property managers that are just like you and facing the same challenges.
Yep, absolutely. We have 8 rentals in Georgia, in Athens, Georgia. So it's a small town outside of Atlanta. So we've been doing this, and I've been with Hospitable since 2019, I think, is when we started as a Hospitable host. So I love the product and love to see all the growth we've made. It's really awesome.
Not bad. That's what I would say. I cannot say as warm things as about you. But yeah, that's fantastic. I'm really excited for that new position and that new department that we're opening up. And I'm really excited that you are doing it because you bring obviously a lot of experience about the industry that otherwise is rather hard to do. It's not just customer success management as you would do in other software companies. It's actually being able to relate with what it takes to be successful as a property manager altogether. What's the best way to reach out to you, Brian, if someone wants to get your advice, opinion, and get an account review, maybe?
Great question. I'm probably going to be annoying some of y'all in the next few weeks anyway. So you're probably going to get emails and calls from me, but brian@hospitable.com is the easiest way to contact me.
Good. You can reach out to Brian. And so yeah, there may be some of you in the room that are also wondering, hey, wait, this sounds like a great company. I'm a property manager, I'm a host, I'm a short-term rental operator. Hopefully you get to that level where we're talking about short-term rather than channel in particular. So yeah, we have still quite a few positions open, so you can join Brian in the customer success management team. We're looking at this point in time for people that can work American time zones and are based in the Americas. There is quite a bit of range that we're expecting. We have still hiring engineers left and right. There are 3 of them are gonna start in November or December. So that's really gonna be boosting our engineering and product roadmap. But we're still looking to recruit more people, especially to work with Nikita around AI. And we're gonna have some big updates on that in a moment. And in particular now also for direct, looking for someone that, for example, is excited about creating a fantastic site builder and improving online presence for our property managers and hosts all together. 2 other positions close to product. So a senior product manager for connectivity that specifically is managing the connection and relationship with booking platforms and bringing some features within our product ourselves. And as a product designer, an update on that. If you basically are showing up and you are an applicant and a candidate for that position, we're just starting on the intro interviews. It took us a little bit of time. My defense is that basically I consider that that's a role that reports directly over to the CEO. So it can go really fast, but it's going to take probably a little bit of time to get there. But yeah, I'm super excited obviously for everyone about that product designer position. It's going to take some time to find the perfect candidate for it. I hinted at some AI developments. First thing that's top of mind for us at this company at this point in time is everything around connectivity. Really happy that we have both Andrew and Sam as Director of Engineering to give you some updates. And they actually are in a bit of an odd location. Sam, where are you at?
Yes. Hey, everyone. So as you may notice, if you've seen me on the town hall before, I'm not here all the time, but when you do, I have a different background. And and you'll definitely notice for Andrew's video, because his video background has color in it today. We're both in Amsterdam, so we're attending the Booking.com travel tech event. As a partner-only event that we've been invited to by the Booking.com team. And we're excited to hear some of what Booking.com wants to talk about, their perspectives on the state of the industry, and hopefully see some exciting new features that they're building. And so I want you to promise me you're not gonna, whatever I say right now is not verbatim. We're gonna review everything just going off their agenda. So no promises. But just going off their agenda, we want to, or we're hoping that we're going to hear a little bit more about, they have this new authentication process. So what we're hoping that might be is something to do with hosts and basically improving the connection flow. So hopefully, again, this isn't guaranteed, but yeah, hopefully maybe an easier way to connect Booking.com property to Hospitable. That would be awesome, because we know there is a little bit of pain at the moment with that connection process. So hopefully there is a better way for that. We're going to hear a little bit more about request to books. So that is something that Harkin from our connectivity team is already working on. It functions a little bit more like an Airbnb inquiry, but Booking.com call it request to book. We'll handle all that language for you. But we're working on that at the moment. And yeah, we're going to have a little bit more to share probably in a future town hall about what that looks like. They are working on brand new content APIs as well. So they have APIs for this already, but they're rolling out some kind of new, more modern ones. Booking.com historically has a slightly older fashioned API, I would say. And so they're building out some new APIs, and we're excited to see what they're doing there. That's going to give us a little bit more control, configuration over the properties. And as we've kind of said before, as we start to move into more of like a PMS functionality, those APIs are going to be kind of integral to us helping manage your Booking.com properties. They're going to talk a little bit about the future of payments. We don't know what that means just yet, but hopefully that's going to indicate what we might be able to do there and handle payments better for you from Booking.com. And we're also going to hear from their security team about what they're doing to continue keeping hosts and guests safe on the Booking.com platform. So those are kind of some of the key things that we've seen on their agenda that we're hoping for. And what we'll do is next town hall, we'll share a bigger update on what we actually heard and what they're actually doing and how that's actually going to benefit you. But yeah, hopefully, especially that kind of connection process. That's one of the big ones that we're hoping they're making some good changes to. That's everything from me on Booking.com. Bit of a quick one, and I'm going to hand you over to Andrew for a few more connectivity updates. Thank you.
Hello, also from Amsterdam, reporting this week. Agoda, the message is progress, but not quite there yet. So the ball's now back in Agoda's court. They basically gave us the certification process that we had to go through that we talked about in the last town hall. We've finished the certification, and now we're waiting on them. Once that gets done, we can start the pilot. So a lot of you have signed up for the pilot. A lot of you have been waiting very patiently. We appreciate that. We will be starting soon. And again, the first phase of that is we want to work with hosts who are already set up on Agoda. They have their properties there. We'll be able to import them into Agoda, and then it'll work just like any of the other OTAs that we have connected. And then we'll embark on that PMS roadmap that we've been talking about with Airbnb. We'll start to then improve the functionality of that Agoda channel, just like we'll be doing on a lot of our other OTAs. This is the theme going forward on connectivity as we become really a full-featured PMS and start doing more with listings management, etc. Let's go through Airbnb. So some progress there. Some of this will be a rehash. Not everybody is a loyal town hall viewer. We have some new hosts. So just heads up, if you haven't heard yet, things are changing with Airbnb. We will be taking a more authoritative stance on your Airbnb connection and being the single source of truth. That has some advantages. It has some consequences, perhaps. So everything when you're on this new connection that's rolling out will be done on Hospitable if it has to do with prices and availability. It needs to come from Hospitable going forward. And then the kind of new capabilities like listings management will come later. That's not part of this initial experience. So let's go through, again, what changes. The biggest one that I think came up in the last town hall is some of you will experience a change in your service fees. We have recorded a very extensive video about this and some of the other material. So if you want to get more in depth, if this potentially impacts you and you want to learn more, I suggest you go to our help center and search Airbnb upgrade. And that will give you kind of the full story of what all is happening, including 8 minutes about service fee configurations on Airbnb, how they work, etc. I won't go into that much depth here. Happy to talk about it more in the QA. But the short answer is, anyone listening in from North America, you're not impacted, okay? Airbnb does not require you to change your service fee configuration when you work with a software provider that is a property management scope, like what we're changing to now. Also included in that, Uruguay, Argentina, Taiwan, and the Bahamas, you also will not see a change. Everywhere else, you should expect to move into this host-only fee. And we talked about in that video how there are some advantages. So in the next slide, it's actually really a cheaper rate for you. So if you are using your markup rates properly and accounting for this, for me in Italy, I can save 8% of my margin on the commission that Airbnb is taking by switching to host only fee of 15%. Because I have a 20%, up to 20%, I should say, up to 20% guest fee and a 3% host fee in Italy. 23 versus 15. That's actually a lot of a much more competitive price that I can offer on that. Among the other advantages we talked about there. Moving on. So the main changes besides that service fee configuration for those impacted hosts is Airbnb is going to become read-only calendar for you. You're going to need to do this in Hospitable. Airbnb tells you that. So another one of those videos that we did, we gave you a screen share of everything that changes in Airbnb. So if you're feeling kind of nervous about that, please go check out that video. I walk you through everything step by step that changes. One of them is the calendar. You need to block availability in Hospitable after this. You need to change your prices in Hospitable. If you're using Airbnb's smart pricing, that will get disabled, but any dynamic pricing solution that you have connected to Hospitable is not impacted. That's fine. That's still Hospitable serving as your source of truth on pricing. Next slide. Availability. So this is where we're actually seeing a benefit right away, is we're able now to consolidate your availability rules. So if you're talking about your preparation time or your max stay, your min stay, your I'm blanking here, but restricted check-in and checkouts, etc. Those are things that we can now manage in one place and push all of that data to your other channels. So that is going to get disabled on Airbnb, move to Hospitable, and then help you out by consolidating the management of those rules. So where we're at right now, a lot of you have gotten an email at this point. I think we still have maybe a few thousand left of our hosts to contact if you qualify for a self-serve upgrade. That means you can't take action on your own schedule for now. If you want to do this, those are people that don't have any co-hosted listings because you have a very simple upgrade path. We're going to send you an email. It's going to link to more instructions, but you will also start seeing an upgrade button now on any connected Airbnb account you have on your connected accounts page. And when you're ready, you can click on that, and then you can just kind of see what changes on your own schedule if you want to do that. You don't have to take action. We're just inviting you to do that on your own schedule. The rest of you will be part of what we're doing as a migration. On the next slide, please. So this will be everyone else, basically. There are some exceptions. Talk about those in a second. But anyone that has co-hosted listings, it's easier for us to upgrade you on your behalf. Working with Airbnb to do that, so you don't have to reach back out to all your co-hosts, ask them to go through a process again. We'll do that for you. We're going to do that in kind of waves and batches. We'll be contacting you ahead of that time, letting you know when your account will be upgraded, so you have a good idea of what's happening. That's going to be kind of throughout the rest of the month of October, so happening soon. Expect to hear from us soon. People that will not be upgraded, anyone that's connected to another property management software. So if you're using one of our competitors for whatever reason, and they're connected to your Airbnb with this exclusive connection, that means we cannot connect, and Hospitable will have an impact. Then you will not be able to manage any availability from Hospitable. You'll have a read-only calendar. That's if you're connected to another PMS. Now, if you want to use Hospitable's calendar, you would need to disconnect from your other PMS, so you could be upgraded to the new connection. The other people that we're going to exclude are if you are only using us with Airbnb. That means your properties are not connected to any other OTA, including direct. We don't need to upgrade you because there's no reason for us to manage your availability. There's no availability to sync, right? So we're not going to push you into this migration and give you an impact without any benefit. So those would be excluded as well. If you are migrated and if you are impacted with this host-only fee change, we will update your markup rates on your behalf, so you don't have to worry about that. Otherwise, you would anticipate getting a booking that's maybe a much cheaper payout than you were expecting because your guest service fee disappeared and now it's all in a host fee. So we're going to take that into account and we're going to upgrade that for you so you don't have to worry about it. And then we will have a downgrade option. So if anyone's, I don't know, for whatever reason this isn't working for you, you will be able to downgrade. When you downgrade, you would have those same consequences I mentioned. Hospitable's calendar would be a read-only calendar for all of your channels. We will not sync with any other channel. So we don't anticipate this being the path for most of our users, but we are including it for people that have, for whatever reason, cannot allow us to connect in this exclusive way and be the single source of truth for them. You'll be able to downgrade from the connected account flow. And we'll share more information with that as that feature becomes available. We're still building that downgrade option now. And that should cover us for Airbnb.
Hello, everyone. Before moving on in the slides, if you've seen me here before, you might be thinking, hang on a minute. Nick usually comes on, he talks about AI. What is this slide? Well, we'll get to the AI portion, but I'm super excited to talk about this next bit because it's, rare enough that we get to announce kind of something really quite new to the platform. So without further ado, introducing Upsells natively in Hospitable. So what are we talking about here? Well, short-term rental guests, they're not just checking in and they're staying at their property and not doing anything else. I sometimes do that, but I think I'm the exception. People want to enhance their stays in different ways. Either that's experiences or ordering things to the home, stuff like that. So there's a potential for additional revenue to be extracted on the host side by providing these services and having the guests pay for them. But there are services out there that offer something like this, where you can connect, you can have guests pay in an ad hoc manner, and you arrange things. What we wanted to do differently is have a really native, deep integration within Hospitable itself to connect to all the good things that you're used to in terms of messaging, calendars, smart locks, and so on. And so what we wanted to do is have something native to our platform, so you wouldn't need any additional software to offer purchasable upsells to your guests. And if you've seen me here before, you might know that I like to show demos of new stuff that we're announcing. So here we go. I'm going to share my screen, and I think this way. I'll do it this way. So upsells are going to live within the guest experience section at Hospitable. There's going to be a new upsells part here. There might be expanded with different options, but for now, I just want to show you an early interface across the application, what the guest experience is, and kind of some of the side effects that happen as a result of them purchasing. So what you can see here is some basic overview of upsells that might have been purchased, as well as the upsells that you have set up to make available to guests. So look at one of them. Guests often ask for early check-ins. Some hosts accommodate that for free. Other hosts want to offer that for a particular price. What we are setting up here is the ability to, one, of course, have the scoping mechanism that you're already used to within Hospitable to allow certain product variations and setups to be for some properties with certain prices and others for other properties as you would expect. We have different variations that like let's say product variations that a guest might purchase. In this case of early check-in, it might be different hours, how early they want to check in, and you might set up different prices for those. Let's enable this just now. And the same sort of thing you can do for a late checkout. If somebody requests to check out a few hours later, well, you can provide that and they can purchase that if they so wish. So let's enable that. And now what I want to show you is, well, what happens on the guest side? We'll get to how you can drive the guest to make that purchase in just a moment, but don't pay too much attention to the actual design of the interface. It's still early, we're working on this, but in general, what we're looking forward to is making the guest portal, which already exists in various forms within direct and also for rental agreements. We want to add more kind of functionality and value for both guests and hosts in the guest portal, and purchasing add-ons, purchasing ads, upsells is one thing that we're working on here. So the guest would be able to, in the guest portal, actually see your product catalog. They can select the options that they care about, and they would go through a checkout process that already leverages the payment infrastructure that we've set up that works really well across direct. We would add any necessary taxes and fees. The guests can select or use an existing payment method that they've already used, for example, in making a direct booking, pay for it, and it's pretty much as simple as that process on the guest side. So assuming the payment is successful here, let's actually see what that means for you and for the guest on the app side. You'll notice a couple of things. So one, we can actually see is that the times, the check-in and checkout times have been adjusted automatically after that purchase in the application. What does that mean? That actually means that any timings related to schedule messages, when tasks are created, like with their start times, when notifications go out, when smart lock codes get provisioned and unlocked, all of that is now natively and automatically handled behind the scenes as soon as the upsell is purchased. And that is really the magic that we were going for with this. So apart from offering you an additional revenue stream, both the guest and the host get this sort of magical experience, right? So next, how can you offer your guests the option to have these upsells? First of all, we're going to be providing links to the guest portal within direct booking confirmation emails. That's kind of the simple approach. There's nothing for you to do there. But if you wanted to, in an ad hoc manner, give your guests the option to purchase something from your product catalog, we're going to have links available for you to easily drive them to the guest portal right there, as well as giving you a clear display when upsells have occurred. And here's where AI comes in. We will, we already have the possibility for the AI to recognize when there's an opportunity to offer an upsell if that's being configured in your product catalog, and provide the deep link for the guest to go in and make the purchase already. What we later aim to do is build that even deeper into the guest experience, where you can have a new short code, a smart code for upsells that you could add to your existing templates that the AI will pick up on and use to determine whether or not it's a good time to offer, again, something from the product catalog, whether that's an early check-in, late checkout, depending on when this message is going out. That is it for the demo that I wanted to show today. So let's talk a little bit about what it means in terms of you getting access to this and kind of the timeline, right? So rollout, we're starting with a private pilot within the next 2 weeks. I think 2 weeks max. It might be as soon as kind of towards the end of next week. We'll see. We're starting with direct premium, and I'll explain why. Simply because all of the payments and taxes and payouts and KYC infrastructure is already there for our direct premium host, and we can very easily plug in upsells as an added kind of item into the booking flow. The next logical step is, of course, to offer it to direct basic host, and then like after we figure out a little bit of onboarding to do with payouts and KYC and Stripe integration, we will roll it out to basically all hosts across all OTAs. So that means that it's not only about direct bookings. Really, any booking that comes in on any OTA that you've connected on Hospitable can be used to offer an upsell to that guest. In terms of the kind of side effects of what happens after upsells, I already kind of talked about this, but just to repeat, all the timings are automatically adjusted for check-in and checkout within the application. automatically. You don't need to do anything else. Smaller codes would be automatically affected. Scheduled messages, tasks, team messages, and of course reflected in the inbox. That's pretty awesome, to be honest. So next, I already mentioned how you can drive your guests towards the guest portal and to the product catalog, whether that's the link in confirmation emails, manually copying the link and crafting your own message, or using Shazam to the AI. And that's going to be available right now in the private pilot, the first rollout. And then the next kind of iteration of the engagement path will be these smart codes and messaging rules that I already talked about with an example right there. Next, what are we planning to actually include as options in the product catalog? I just talked about early check-ins and late checkouts. We started with that because on the one side, it's a much lower lift in terms of the kind of safety and liability and general concerns around offering any kind of thing that anyone can purchase on a platform, but also because of that magical like timing experience, right? So that's going to be the start right now. The next iteration coming right after that, and right after, I mean, in a matter of like weeks or a month. We're on a very kind of aggressive timeline to roll these things out. The next one will be a subset of additional products and services. Probably some physical items that you can buy, maybe some equipment rentals, things like that, as well as the ability to upsell orphan nights almost just as automatically as early check-ins and late checkouts. Orphan nights, just to recap, if you have a booking, let's say some months out, and another booking right after it, and they're multiple days, and there's just like one day in between, it's highly unlikely that somebody books just that one day. And so it's a great opportunity to offer either of those bookings the ability to kind of extend their stays with a discount to fill that night. You'll get some revenue, even if it's not as much as like a full booking would have for that night. So those orphan nights are a great opportunity to for upsells. And then soon after that, we'll have a way to allow you to offer any basically product or service that you want in your product catalog to your guests. Small note on the carts that power the guest portal's product catalog. So right now, what we're going to be launching with is a basic kind of cart recovery. So if a guest goes there, they start the checkout process, they don't complete it. If they just return to the page, automatically all the products that they've previously selected will be selected for them already, right? There's just that much lower friction. It helps them to just carry on at a much higher chance that they'll finish it that time around rather than having to select everything again. Just a small thing, but it kind of helps. And then the next obvious step that you would expect is the ability to schedule kind of automatic emails that go out to let the guests know, oh, you want to finish checking out these products that you started kind of looking at on the guest portal. That should go out automatically to the guest after some time has passed and they haven't checked out, and that will increase the conversion rate in those cards, of course. So to summarize, we've just announced feature, but maybe a new product essentially within Hospitable. So upsells natively within the platform, living it within guest experience, the ability to sell both ad hoc and this is something I didn't mention, but within the direct booking flow itself. So if somebody is making a direct booking, they selected their nights as an additional step. You can then offer them add-ons to purchase before they've even completed the booking, which means that you can drive higher revenue upfront, and it will automatically work with payment terms. So if somebody is making a pretty large booking already, they can just add a few more items to that, and that the payment will be split up as you would expect with the payment terms. The early check-in, late checkout options that are displayed in the product catalog take into account previous surrounding reservations so that there isn't any conflicting overlap. And what we also want to do is to be able to look at tasks assigned to, for example, cleaners and like turnover times to be able to ensure that the options presented to the guest actually map to something that is truly valid and physically possible to achieve, and automatically disable those that aren't. or not show them. And as I mentioned, the magical kind of timing adjustments after purchasing. The upsells, that's the deep integration that is really not possible at this level when using external software. And the last thing to mention is that our direct premium customers will be familiar with our ability to, definitely calculate and pay out taxes, but also remit in certain jurisdictions. And this will apply, obviously, to upsells as well. So that is our update for upsells. We're starting, like I said, a private pilot within the next 2 weeks, starting with direct premium hosts first, direct basic next, and then all other OTAs and hosts after that. If you're interested in upsells, regardless of whether or not you're a direct premium host, if you go to that link, and we'll paste it in the chat as well, or use that QR code, please sign up. Let us know if you're interested. We'll reach out as soon as we have something for you to test out in the app. Really looking forward to launching this and having you use it.
All right, and now I get to follow up that really exciting upsells announcement with my first town hall as the direct product manager. So hi, everyone. If you haven't met me yet, I'm Abby, and I am taking over direct from Andrew officially now. It's almost 1 month in at Hospitable. So first update is just a follow-up from our last town hall where we shared that we are working on e-commerce tracking capabilities with Google Analytics to give you property level performance data for your direct booking sites. So now, in addition to this being supported for hospitable sites, it is also supported for those of you who are using a self-hosted site with a custom booking widget. And then the last step for us is to add support for self-hosted sites that are using our Hospitable booking widget. There's just some complexity there since that needs to be supported cross-domain. So this is something that we're continuing to work on. Next up, I have an update on Apple Pay and Google Pay. This is still in progress, but we're really close. It's almost over the finish line. We're hoping to ship it early next week. The reason why it's taking a little bit longer than we had anticipated is that we needed to rearrange our booking flow to make Apple Pay and Google Pay make sense as part of that flow. The good news, though, is that we've consolidated the booking flow, so there's actually going to be less screens that your guests need to click through. Payment will be on the last screen as they're confirming their booking. They'll complete their payment. And the other good part about the way we've implemented this feature is we are using a component that will make it easier to support additional payment methods in the future. So I think the additional time has been well spent. And once we get this out the door and working, our next step would also be to support express checkout with Apple Pay and Google Pay so that if the guests paid with that payment method, we would actually pre-fill their information for them, make it super easy for them to complete their booking with the goal, of course, to help you with conversions on your direct booking sites. And then next up, I wanted to share a few updates on the direct roadmap. So since I'm new to the team and new to Hospitable, I've been spending a lot of time reviewing your feedback and your feature requests. And also as part of my handoff with Andrew, we've been sitting down and looking at your feedback, our upcoming projects, and we've been going through a prioritization exercise where we actually score each of the features or projects based on their reach, impact, level of effort, the confidence that we have in our ability to deliver on a particular feature. And so some of the things that ranked high as part of our prioritization exercise that were already on our roadmap but are kind of next up for us are rental agreements so there are some UX improvements and that we want to make there. We also want to make those available for all bookings, not just direct bookings. Also, we'll be focused on some additional site improvements, again, with the goal of helping with conversion. So some enhancements to our property search, like the ability to filter on amenities as an example. and adding additional trust building content to your direct booking sites, things like how many stays you've had, links to your OTA listings, etc. And then midterm bookings is still high on our radar. I know that for some hosts, that's a big part of their business. So those are things that we were already talking about, but also scored high on our prioritization list. And then I wanted to also share a couple of things that ranked highly during the prioritization exercise that aren't necessarily surprises, but maybe weren't as high on our radar prior to that exercise. So some of those things are video support for your site header. I know some hosts have really cool drone footage of your property. So we want to make that visible in the header, make those sites look nice and professional. Also, multi-language support for sites. There's a lot of feedback around that and it ranked high on our list. And then probably the least surprising, because we've heard the most feedback on, are reviews for direct booking sites. So I just want to call these out. These are things that I'll be digging into in the coming weeks, given how they ranked on that prioritization exercise. So that is it for direct.
Awesome. Hey, everybody. Hope you're all doing well today. I'm going to start by talking a little bit more about guest verification for all bookings. This is a feature which we've been talking about for the past several town halls. It's now available to all beta hosts who are primary users. And I just got word right as we were starting this town hall that we finished up the final things that we needed to go live to all hosts. So we're expecting to share this with everybody in the coming days. But before we talk about the feature itself, I want to take an opportunity to share a little bit more about what guest verification or what the OTAs are doing for guest verification before they even allow a guest to book. I think it's really important to be educated on this as hosts so that we know that when we get a booking from an OTA, we know exactly what has already been done, if anything. And just to be clear, this is not meant to slam any of these OTAs. They all serve a very important purpose in our business, and we like them all for different reasons, but we want you to be educated and know, maybe when you might want to pursue additional guest verification in certain circumstances. So here's a nice, beautiful table that I did not make beautiful on my own. And it goes through each of the OTAs that we get bookings from and what they do. So we'll start with Airbnb. Airbnb asks every single guest when they sign up for Airbnb what their legal name is and their address. Now, they ask this when they sign up for Airbnb. So if you're like me, I signed up for Airbnb probably over a decade ago. A lot could happen in a decade. So they verified me 10 years ago and have no idea what I've been up to in that time. So who knows what those verification results would be had I gone through that process today. Sometimes they also ask for a birth date, identification, and a selfie, but they don't ask that all the time. Sometimes it depends on the country the guest is coming from and those like local laws. Sometimes they feel like what they learned with the name and address might like require that they do a little additional digging, but they don't ask that in all cases. And they never ask for the purpose of stay, or they never do sex offender checks. So I think it's important to know that, because when you see that guest verified badge on Airbnb, you know that at a minimum they've checked their name and their address, but you don't really know what else has been done with that guest prior to them booking. Vrbo is a similar story. They're always checking the address and the birth date. They didn't have anything online about whether or not they even asked for the legal name. I know that a lot of hosts, myself included, get a lot of spam requests on Vrbo, so I would not be shocked if they don't do any digging on that. And then Booking.com is a little bit different. You can actually request as the host that you only get bookings from guests who have had their names and addresses verified, but all the other stuff is up in the air. So I think it's important to know like what the guests have been through before they make that reservation with you. And so on the next slide, we share all of this and a little bit more. So with Hospitable's guest verification feature, we do all of that every single time, and we do it when you request it. So with this feature, when a guest makes a reservation on any of those platforms, you can choose if you'd like to request additional verification. And we will go through all of those and get all of that information for you. Not only do we ask the guests for all of that stuff, but we also share that with you. So you can actually have the confidence that, yes, we do have their name and their address and their birthday. We've actually gotten an upload of their identification and we'll show it to you. They've taken a selfie and you can see that they match. So our goal here with this feature is really to just bring transparency to the whole process and give you the information that you need to feel really confident and comfortable with the guests that you're letting into your homes. We don't want you to ever be scared away from a certain platform just because they have like different verification practices. So if there's one that you're not comfortable with or haven't moved forward with, maybe booking.com, because you've heard that they don't do a lot of verification, we'd love for you to try it. Anyways, Derek mentioned in the chat earlier that a host had recently connected booking.com. They'd been a little nervous about it and almost immediately got 3 bookings within that first week. That was also my experience as a host. I didn't connect my own booking.com listing until I was helping Hospitable test our new connection. And I got a bunch of bookings right away. So we want this guest verification feature to be that kind of confidence booster. You can take bookings from anywhere and then do some additional digging after the fact. So on the next slide, this is what you're going to see in your account once you get access sometime in the next week. From within the conversation with the guest, these are accepted bookings already, but you can see this in the sidebar that you want to request additional verification. You have full control over which checks you run. You can choose to do an identity verification check, and that's where they're going to be asked to upload their ID and take a selfie. You can also choose to run a separate sex offender check, or you can pick one or both of those. It doesn't matter. And in that process, we're going to be sending the guest a message with a link to the guest portal. Now, Nick shared a lot about the guest portal earlier. This is something that's only going to get better over time. So this is one way that the guest portal can be shared with guests outside of direct premium reservations for now, is if you request that additional verification. On the next slide, after you request verification from a guest, what we're going to do from that point forward is actually pause remaining scheduled messages and give them time to actually finish those verification steps in their portal. So because this is already an accepted reservation, we want to withhold something so that they can't access the property until they've actually been verified. So we'll pause on those messages, give them time to complete the portal. On the next screen, we're showing a couple of the screens that they might see in the guest portal. And just so you know, this is a pretty involved feature. So when you do see this option within your Hospitable account and hover over it, a video will pop up and you can watch in a lot more detail the entire guest portal experience, so you know exactly what your guests are going to be going through when they're getting verified and feel kind of confident about that. Okay, once the guest finishes the requirements in the portal, it is now up to you, depending on the results, to make the decision. If they're verified through our partner AutoHost, nothing is needed from you. Those messages are no longer withheld and everything will move forward as intended. If they've been flagged for review for any reason, you now have the opportunity to either allow check-in anyways. You might read the results and say, oh, that's okay with me, or I'm okay accepting that level of risk, and decide to allow check-in. Or you might decide, this is a red flag. I do actually want to initiate cancellation with the platform. You would continue restricting check-in and then go to the platform to initiate that cancellation. So if you have more questions about how the feature actually works, we went through a really detailed Q&A a couple of weeks ago, which we can drop the link to that in the chat. We have several help articles and, again, videos within the product that you'll see once this is actually available within your account. Sometime in the next couple of days, you will see it, and it's going to be available for all primary users. So if you created the account, you will have the ability to use this. Secondary users with full access, and if you use maybe VAs who are helping you manage communication with the guest, you can additionally give them explicit permission to purchase additional services so that they can request that additional verification from the guest. Now, in the meantime, while you're waiting for access, there is something that you can do now to go ahead and prepare your listing. It's important for the individual OTAs that you're transparent about the potential of requesting this from guests before they book. They need to know what they might have to do. And so we have some recommended language that you can drop in your listing description so that if you do request this from a guest, you can say, hey, we showed you this in our listing description. You expected this. So I'm going to drop a link in the chat right now that has some recommended language for what to put in your listing. And of course, you can revise it as you want. Okay, that's guest verification. Next, a little Mogul update for you. We have been kind of hard at work behind the scenes preparing everything to basically own a hospitable ledger, if you will. Now, this is mostly going to be behind the scenes, but it's one of the reasons why we're taking so much time and being very careful about it. This is what is going to be the foundation for us building out accounting software integrations. So all of your reservations are being stored in a way that's going to play really, really well with QuickBooks and with Xero down the line and others as well. And so we're doing that work right now. The goal is to support a QuickBooks integration here very soon that really does all the things you want it to do. If you haven't set up QuickBooks yet and you're not quite sure where to begin, we'll be able to do that setup for you with this integration. If you already have it set up and you need to map to some existing chart of accounts, like our plan is to help you do that in an easy way. So we really want to support the people who already have their QuickBooks up and running in their certain type of way, and also support those people who are just starting to scale their businesses, who are just starting to kind of get things in proper order and make some of those decisions for you so you don't have to, because we have very smart people around us who have been able to advise on exactly what should be done in this situation so you can do proper accounting practices with this integration. A little bit more just what our plan is for Mogul on the next screen, the accounting integrations I mentioned, and then of course the things we've talked about before, going into more advanced revenue recognition on your owner statement so we can handle those midterm stays properly. So this will go really well with the work that the direct team is doing on midterm rentals. If you're a host who likes midterm rentals, this will be for you so that your statements can show properly. More flexible commission structure. A big one has been hosts want to customize the format of their statement, and we will be letting you do that here soon. So if you have other ideas for us or just want to see what else is on our roadmap, you can scan that QR code and upvote ideas, give your own feature requests. And then last but not least, on the next screen, you all re-met Brian earlier. He's going to be the guy to chat with if this is something that you're interested in trialing. So you can scan that QR code and set up a meeting with him if you'd like to try out owner statements while we're continuing to improve it. So that's all I got. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Okay, I think that we'll actually end our slide sharing there for today's session because I'm sure there's a few questions. Just the final slide here is if you do have any additional feedback, anything that we have not gone through today, any feature that you would like to upvote in our feedback board, please do head to feedback.hospitable.com, scan the QR code, and you'll be able to do so. Okay, I think we can go to question time now. As I said, I think Andrew and Nick may have already pulled out some questions in the Q&A that they want to address.
Yeah, there's a few questions related to upsells. Thank you. First of all, I'll just share my my email here for everyone. Nick@hospitable.com. Please send me any thoughts and feedback regarding upsells. I'll be reading it and compiling it and making sure that the launch is smoother and better for you. So a few questions about upsells. Brad asked, can you make the upsell early check-in, late checkout conditional on whether or not it's the same day check-in or checkout at that property? Yes, I mean, that option will be there during the configuration, and that will kind of match similar expectations that we have in the guest experience messaging rules elsewhere. That will be configurable. Can you add various items? Jason asks. Yeah, we will be adding ad hoc, the possibility to add ad hoc items, but this specific example is about charging a certain amount per day for pool heat. Yeah, that's something that I look forward to also supporting in the upsells feature is configuring them to be kind of dependent on the number of days. So you just set up kind of base price and it automatically extends to the length of the stay. And then the final one from Mark, when a late checkout or early check-in occurs within the upsell, how are the calendars affected? Usually after the purchase, the night before would typically need to be blocked. Same with late checkout. There are different scenarios here. For example, if you have a automated check-in system with smart locks and guest self-serve entry, depending on when the last reservation happened, it's likely that you can allow the early check-in to occur. sorry. When the previous reservation is far enough away, it doesn't really matter as long as your turnaround times aren't kind of extending into multiple days. When it's a back-to-back, yes, we will be taking that into account. But there's a little bit more discovery, and that's where I really need your feedback on kind of your particular setup and your particular situation, like what your expectations are. So again, Nick, NIK@hospitable.com. Please send me an email, and I'll also, right after finishing, I'll send a link to sign up for the pilot again. So hopefully answered those two questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I saw, Andrew, you've taken off your video, but sorry. Oh.
Yeah, no, I had marked a question to answer live, but it's disappeared. I don't know what happened to it, and I don't remember what it was. So,
yeah, there was something about midterm rentals or long-term rentals, I believe at the point. Monthly billing options and what's called
monthly billing options. Yeah. So I think they're referring to pay by bank or ACH payments. And yeah, I think this was something that Abby and I have been talking about. And I think what's going to happen is we're waiting for it to be part of the actual payment functionality within what we do with direct premium payments first. And that is coming online in January, probably earlier with the pilot. So right now it's kind of out of our hands, but yeah, we're working on pay by bank. We might be able to do just straight ACH payments a little bit earlier, but yeah, we'll have updates soon on that. We don't really have a good answer today.
Cool. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, I'm going to take a couple of people from the queue now. We have a question from Q. I'm inviting you on stage. Hello, Q.
Hey, how's it going, guys? Can you hear me well?
We can indeed.
Splendid. Well, actually, I had two questions. One has already been offered. It was related to the conditional upsell. So thanks for knocking that one out and to whoever asked that initially. My other question is just a follow-up on, I guess, a glitch that I'm noticing. It's related to the, I guess, custom code with the condition if a ID has been verified. So I have like a specific message embedded in my inquiry response. If they're not already verified, that gives them like instructions on how to become to verify the ID. And I'm noticing that showing up in every message, even when the potential guest is already have verified their ID. Do we have like an update on that, or perhaps even what's causing it?
I'm not sure if anyone else has context. That's the first I've heard of it. So I can definitely create a ticket so we can look into it. But I unless anyone else has context, that's the first feedback we've gotten on that I'm aware of.
Got it. Okay. All right. I've raised it in the past, and I think a challenge that I have is just kind of keeping up on where items stand. I'm not sure if there are maybe plans to create like a ticketing portal. I know you guys kind of collect tickets and link them to like internal incidents or tasks from what I understand through my conversations with support. But I don't really have any visibility into that. So for example, I may have not posed that question if I could just click and see it. So curious, are there any plans to create some form of interface for, I guess, some more information around where past tickets currently stand?
Yeah, so there's some visibility and yeah, some of what you mentioned is not available now, and I'm not sure how it would work at that level. But yeah, we have roadmap visibility. We're looking at also expanding that a bit. We have feature request visibility. When you create a ticket or a ticket is created on your behalf for like a support issue, you get notified when that's done. But if there are other levels of progress, we're not able to notify you on at the moment. I don't know exactly how that would work, but I like the feedback. I appreciate that.
Sounds good. All right. Well, that's all I have for today. Thanks.
All right. I'm going to go check on your ticket queue. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much. Okay, we quickly run out of time, but we're going to try and squeeze in a couple more people. So, Atmin, inviting you on stage now.
Hi, my name is Atman. I had a comment and then a follow-up question. So the comment is that this is my third down hall. I think I really enjoyed the product culture of this team of building it in the open and directly connecting with users, taking their feedback and sharing progresses in this town hall. I have applied to the senior PM role. So looking forward to the interview process if shortlisted. The question I had was just a long-term view of the roadmap for connectivity. Is it more along the lines of adding more OTAs and connecting with more of those? Just curious about that.
Yeah, I think that's fine to maybe share that. I think some of our other hosts might be interested in that. So what I've been doing a lot of those intro interviews for that position. And I think what I like to explain when we're talking about the role is Hospitable's journey to becoming a full PMS and how I think we've been traditionally reluctant to consider ourselves a PMS for some good reasons. I think we wanted the industry to change a bit, and we're starting to see that. We've also made a lot of progress on our side. So I think we're to the point where offering more PMS-like functionality like listings management is actually in the best interest of our hosts, would save them time. That's on mission for us. And it doesn't feel like a betrayal of our values anymore. We were always worried about sacrificing our roadmap. If you became a PMS, you kind of committed to the roadmap of every other channel you integrated, right? And for all those reasons, we always tried to be kind of an anti-PMS. But yeah, that's what's changed. So those kind of two different tracks are now aligned. And so that role specifically is how do we become a PMS without being the things that we don't like about our competitors? So becoming overly complex. We don't want to ruin the product that we think is easy to use. That's probably the most frequent feedback we hear in those NPS scores that you see in the product, rating us 1 to 10. Easy to use is the most frequent feedback. And that is, the golden goose for us. We cannot kill that. So how do we become a PMS without killing the ease of use? That is the essential challenge of that role. Does that make sense? And yeah, it'll include other channels in the future, but a lot of it is just about professionalizing and expanding the capabilities of our existing OTAs.
Yep, that really helps. Thanks a lot, Andrew.
Cool. Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
Thank
Sorry,
you.
should we proceed?
Perfect. No, I'm not. Am I still muted?
No.
I kind of wanted to share just a thing. Don't pay attention to any other screen. This is what we do not want to become. This interface may be familiar to some of you. I'm sorry. We're recruiting a better marketing team and a better sales team to avoid you having to go through that pain. That screen is egregious. So that's why we need a connectivity person that understands the complexity that goes with this. We're creating a designer to not simplify, but make it simple. Simple is the baseline. So that basically we have something that works for a potential 5 million hosts in the US alone that don't use software, have no chance of using software. And software is basically that. It's absolutely terrible. But it fixes every single feature request. Now this is a company that doesn't have any feature request because everything is available. Also, everyone is silent. No, everyone is intimidated by the screen and run the hell out of it because it simply doesn't work. So, and the connectivity is extremely challenging. Sorry, Miles.
Okay, I think we are over time, so I think we're pushing it already, so we may have to wrap there. I do want to quickly throw up one last slide for anyone that hasn't already seen it. Last minute opportunities, still a few tickets left if anyone wants to come and see us in Orlando, Atlanta, Austin, or LA. A bunch of our team are going to be in those cities next week, and we are looking forward to meeting some hosts in person, having a drink with them live, face to face.
Sounds fantastic.
That's it from me.
Sounds fantastic. Thank you, Miles. Thank you, everyone. Back to the updates. See you in 2 weeks after a lot of travel on the team, and see you in all of those events where we're going to be meeting in the following days and weeks. Have a great rest of your day. Ciao, ciao. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.